Coming up, Jordan and Taiwan TIMA hold a dental-free clinic at a center for special education in Bunayard. We find out why climate change is the main cause behind the increase in extreme weather patterns around the globe. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helen Liao. Thank you for joining us. Recently, TIMA members in Jordan held a free dental clinic at the Young Muslim Women's Association Center for Special Education in Bunayard. This time, they were also joined by Taiwan's Northern District TIMA members, and together the two groups served 140 students in total.
Here at the Young Muslim Women's Association Center for Special Education in Bunayard, Jordan, TIMA members will be offering students free dental checkups.
I'm so happy that you come here, and I'm so happy that my students are happy too. You see that you don't ever feel that they are not happy with you, and that helps them in order to be good all the time. If people like you comes from time to another to check them, and that helps them to be good most of the time. Thank you.
Volunteers stand by the children's side to comfort their anxious hearts. To bridge the language barrier, other volunteers are on site to translate.
Most of them suffer from serious tooth decay. However, we couldn't give them proper treatment due to our limited medical resources. It's a pity that we didn't bring our oral hygiene education materials. All the local volunteers could have learned how to brush their teeth and maintain oral hygiene properly so that they could pass on the knowledge to the general public.
Among the volunteers is also Dr. Amit, who said he has gained much from watching Taiwan's TIMA members in action.
Amazing. It's something incredible, really. They learn us how to work, how to give, not just to work. They are great people, really.
With the assistance of Taiwan's medical staff, the local TIMA dental clinic will be able to reach more patients in remote areas in the future.
A lot of people here, they need help and they can't go to dentists. So I have this wish since I went to Taiwan 5 years ago to make a big TIMA team here in Jordan and be successful TIMA team.
Ending the day on a perfect note, Tzu Chi volunteers gifted students with various toys, as everyone looks forward to more such interactions in the future.
In China, Guangdong Tzu Chi volunteers recently visited Puning City to care for the Li family. Upon learning that this family has no means to renovate their damaged home, volunteers decided to reach out with a helping hand. Here's more. Construction workers tear down the broken roof at the old house where the Li families call home. As the Li family can barely make ends meet, renovating their damaged home is simply beyond them. Upon learning of this situation, Guangdong Tzu Chi volunteers decided to take the family under their wings.
There are so many kind-hearted people helping out today. If it wasn't for the volunteers, we wouldn't have been able to tear down the roof so quickly. We would have to rest a lot during the construction.
Other than giving this family a safe place to call home, volunteers also thoughtfully look after Miss Li, who is mentally challenged. Touched by the volunteers' selfless dedication, on the second day of the construction, Miss Li and her neighbors joined the volunteers in cleaning up.
Seeing so many people helping out today made me realize that there are many things we can do to help. In the future, I will join the volunteers' ranks and help those in greater need.
Signing a sign language song together like one big family. Thanks to love and support of the Tzu Chi volunteers and their neighbors, the Li family is ready to begin a new chapter in their lives. 2014 has just begun, but irregular weather patterns have already caused disasters in various parts of the world. And as the abnormal weather conditions continue to worsen over time, people all over the world will soon start to view these extreme weather patterns as normal. However, what is the cause behind the increase in these extreme weather patterns? Let's find out more in our next report.
A series of storms led to the overflowing of the Thames River, causing the worst flooding in London in decades. Even the Prince lent a hand in the flood efforts.
We've already identified climate change as one of the strategic threats that we have to deal with. We have a threats and resilience subcommittee of the National Security Committee that looks at these things.
Nor should we allow any room for those who think that the costs associated with doing the right thing outweigh the benefits. There are people who say, oh, it's too expensive, we can't do this.
US Secretary of State John Kerry has spoken about the dangers of climate change, calling it the world's most fearsome weapon of mass destruction, and one which can no longer be ignored. The year 2014 has just begun, yet news of natural disasters has already been reported in the countries of Japan, United States, England, and South America.
It's like boiling water in a kettle. As water is coming to a boil, the kettle starts to shake. It's the same with our atmosphere, though we may be experiencing only a 1 or 2 degrees Celsius fluctuation. The fluctuation of the atmospheric pressure is greater.
Faced with the extreme weather, human response to the changes has been to ignore the dangers until they are too drastic to do so.
The extreme weather increases the likelihood of natural disasters. However, the general public doesn't see the underlying causes. They just see it as individual disasters like drought or floods. And gradually, these extreme climate patterns aren't seen as so extreme anymore.
As CO2 levels continue to rise, the Earth's average surface temperature and sea levels will rise with it. Eventually, the extreme weather isn't that extreme anymore. The problem for Taiwan, however, is that around 73% of land and population is exposed to more than 3 natural hazards, while more than 90% of land and population is exposed to 2. Thus, can we really withstand the impact of climate change?
The 9/1 earthquake left many areas in Taiwan prone to mudslides. In the event of a typhoon, the impact of heavy rainfall could lead to unimaginable consequences. Every 2 to 3 years, we've experienced precipitation that was off the charts, meaning that eventually our flood prevention programs won't be able to keep up with the frequency of natural disasters in the future.
Not only is this a situation in which man finds himself helpless, moreover, there is no remedy for it.
Global warming is like HIV/AIDS. It slowly works its way into the atmosphere, and there is no cure for it. We can only work to reduce our carbon footprint or use alternative sources of energy, including finding ways that will help us strengthen our resilience to disasters.
While success is far from assured, if we don't take action now, the situation could be irreversible, and the world as we know it will change, and it will change dramatically for the worse.
Next in our feature reports on Taiwan's ecological wonders, we explore the cypress from the point of view of a carpenter who has worked with the tree his entire life and understand the important role it plays in Taiwan's fragile mountain ecology.
This sutra says it very clearly. Good and evil, we should be able to tell the difference.
74-year-old carpenter Huang Canrong carefully looks over his work. The entirety of the Heart Sutra carved into a piece of cypress. His weathered hands lovingly touch the words of the sutra, as if he can still feel the spirit of the tree on which it was carved. Huang has been a carpenter since 16 and is one of Taiwan's few remaining masters who is adept at woodworking without the use of nails or screws.
I became an apprentice at 16. This skill comes through experience and practice. It requires dedication. That is very important. Nowadays, there are not many who are interested in studying this art. If you really want to find a master carpenter to learn from, there are not many opportunities.
Both the Formosa cypress and the Formosa red cypress are native to Taiwan. Both are known for their fragrance, ability to repel insects, as well as handle pressure and not warp. It is not surprising, therefore, that they have long been a favorite with carpenters.
Why is the cypress so sought after? One is because the tree is very suitable for making furniture or pillars found in temples. As well, from it, one can refine a fragrant essential oil, and this is another reason why it is so popular.
The high demand and therefore high prices that the cypress tree commands has unfortunately been its downfall. In 1912, the Japanese colonial government began the first logging industry in Taiwan at Mount Ali. Thousands of trees were later shipped to Japan, where they were used in the construction of temples and shrines, including the famous Meiji Jingu. Following the departure of the Japanese, however, large-scale logging continued as the nationalist government saw the tree as a resource through which they could forward the island's manufacturing and industry.
At that time, logging was at its peak. The volume of trees being cut down was massive.
From 1945 to 1990, led by the government, 2,800 square kilometers of forest were logged, equal to the combined area of the Yushan, Tairoko, and Xueba National Park. 70% of the trees logged were cypresses, and with their disappearance, Taiwan's forests lost their perennial guardians.
Especially for the cypress at mid-elevation, they require a landslide to clear the entire area before they can settle in. Once the cypresses have taken root, however, their root system will then protect the area against future landslides. Too much logging means that every year we have flooding and landslides. That is because there are no trees left to protect the soil.
Seeing the rise and fall of the cypress with his own eyes, Huang Canrong looks to the future of Taiwan's forests with unease. Sacrifice for the sake of economic development. Perhaps now is the time for us to give the cypress the protection it deserves and safeguard it in Taiwan's forests for future generations.
Here in Taiwan, at noon on March 3rd, a suspected gas leak triggered an explosion in a residential home in Taichung City, damaging some 10 houses. 10 people who were nearby also sustained injuries in the blast.
A woman is being lifted onto a stretcher before being transported to the hospital. Her hand is pressed up against her bleeding wound. 9 other people suffered similar injuries from the massive explosion. 8 people have been hospitalized, while 2 sustained minor injuries. The street was left covered in broken glass from the damaged buildings, and the explosion sent furniture flying into the streets. This brick wall also collapsed onto a passing neighbor.
When they lifted the brick wall, I saw that it was my father-in-law. His head was bleeding.
The gas explosion occurred at noon on March 3rd. A loud bang was heard coming from the solitary senior Chun's home. The explosion affected some 10 houses in the vicinity, and it was believed that the explosion was triggered by a gas leak.
When natural gas builds up in an enclosed area, it becomes extremely volatile. A tiny spark is enough to trigger an explosion.
Fortunately, no fire broke out, otherwise the consequences would be unimaginable. However, 10 residents who were nearby at the time sustained injuries from the blast. Tzu Chi volunteer neighborhood head Wang Xiuhui was the first to call the police and ambulance and remained at the scene of the explosion to tend to the residents' needs.
I have contacted the family members of those who are in critical condition, and I have their valuables in my possession for safekeeping. Once they're transferred to the wards, we will make plans for follow-up care.
A gas leak can be extremely dangerous. Even if it's not a serious leak, gas can build up over time, and the flip of a switch can set off an explosion. Hence, members of the public are reminded to be extra cautious when using natural gas.
In our next report, we meet former Tzu Chi College of Technology student Lai Xiaoyi, who began an initiative in 2008 to watch Master Zheng Yan's wisdom at dawn broadcast each morning and continues to this day. Now a Tzu Chi Foundation staff, Lai also wakes up early to do morning recitations with the Dharma Masters.
In 2008, a group of Taiwan's Central District Tzu Chis started a morning routine to wake up before 5:30 to watch Master Zhen Yan's Wisdom at Dawn broadcast. This group of Tzu Chis were the forerunners of this initiative, and the founder of it was then Tzu Chi Lai Xiaoyi.
Holding
a position in the Tzu Chi group, I found that I needed to absorb the Dharma as well as spread the Dharma, so we made plans to watch Wisdom at Dawn at 5:30.
Sutra chanting can already be heard coming from Holland's Jingse abode, although the sun has yet to rise. Since entering the workforce, Lai now wakes up even earlier to participate in the morning recitation with Tzu Chi's Dharma masters.
Maybe you are still sleepy and not that focused, but I feel doing a morning recitation is a good time for meditation.
Now older, listening to Master Zhen Yan's teachings, Lai absorbs things differently than when she was a student.
When your frame of mind is in the situation and you listen to the Dharma, you gain a much broader and deeper perspective of the situation. So I think it has something to do with the stages in life one is in, but the Master's Dharma can help people in all stages of their life.
Although not required to be at work until 8 a.m., Lai wakes up 4 hours earlier and readies herself to face the day.
When your heart is filled with motivation, your day will be so much more productive, and you will have more energy to face the obstacles ahead of you.
For Lai, rising early to watch Wisdom at Dawn is no longer just about changing her morning routine, but a spiritual sustenance to face the challenges ahead.
In Canada, the new Director General of the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in Vancouver, Zhuang Hengsheng, recently visited the Tzu Chi Canada chapter to gain a better understanding of Tzu Chi's missions in the country. Inspired by Tzu Chi's philosophy, Zhuang promised to encourage his family members to join the volunteers' ranks. Visiting the Tzu Chi Canada chapter with his wife, this is the Director General of the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in Vancouver, Zhuang Hengsheng, who first encountered the Buddhist NGO while working in the United States.
Both of my children attended the Tzu Chi Academy when they were young.
The Tzu Chi Academy not only gives children the chance to learn about their culture, but most importantly, teaches them to have a giving heart. My children were greatly influenced by Tzu Chi's teachings.
During Zhuang's visit, the volunteers explained to him the foundations for missions in the country, especially the Blue Sky Project, which aims to assist needy children.
I think for many people, 10 Canadian dollars is not a lot, but for those in greater need, especially impoverished children or families, this money can help them tremendously.
In the future, Zhuang Hengsheng hopes to work with the Tzu Chi Foundation to teach more people in Canada that Taiwan is a country filled with kind-hearted people. In China's Shanghai, Tzu Chi volunteers organized their annual tea gatherings to welcome in the spring. Meanwhile, in Las Vegas at the United States, at a monthly community gathering, Dr. David Ding shared how he met the Buddhist NGO following the 2003 earthquake in Bam.
These are the photos that changed David Ding's life. Traveling to Iran, he encountered Tzu Chi's charity work and decided to be part of the NGO.
Tzu Chi not only fed those who were hungry, but also provided education to Muslim girls in Iran. After they grow up, they will not forget Tzu Chi's love and will further pay the love forward to help more people in greater need.
In 2003, a 6.6 magnitude earthquake rocked the Iranian ancient city of Bam, taking 40,000 lives. To help quake survivors, Tzu Chi volunteers traveled to the disaster area and subsidized the reconstruction of 5 schools. Through these photos, participants can experience firsthand the great love that touched Dr. Ding's heart.
It's talk about spending time in Iran and to see all those beautiful children sponsored by the Tzu Chi Foundation to set up a school for them. That is a beautiful thing and an incredible achievement that the Tzu Chi Foundation has done all over the world. And I'm very proud to be part of your organization, and I'll continue to support your organization.
situation.
Through this monthly gathering, local residents as well as parents and students of the Las Vegas Tzu Chi Academy have gained a better understanding of Tzu Chi's charity missions across the globe. In Shanghai's Tzu Chi Changfeng office, a drum performance kicks off today's tea gathering. Later, a show skit is put in place to promote Tzu Chi's Bamboo Coin Bank campaign to motivate participants to join the cause.
In my family, we saved up 3 RMB a day, 100 RMB a month. Though it's just a small gesture, it can inspire more people to follow suit. It can generate a butterfly effect.
At this year's tea gathering, Shanghai Tzu Chi volunteers decorated the venue with butterfly props, hoping to inspire participants to act like butterflies and spread the messages of kindness to those around them.
As I saw those butterflies, the first thing that came to mind was the butterfly effect. If I want to inspire more people to join Tzu Chi's ranks, I need to be a good example as a Tzu Chi volunteer.
Tzu Chi is a great organization and it should be introduced to as many people as possible. Maybe next time I will take my parents to attend the Tzu Chi event.
Through the event, many are inspired to not only show their care and love to those in need, but also to our Mother Earth.
After today's tea gathering, I made a vow to myself that I should do my best to avoid using plastic bags and shoulder the responsibility of protecting our environment.
At the end of the day, over 70 participants signed up as volunteers. With the new recruits, Shanghai Tzu Chi volunteers will enjoy a greater boost in promoting their charity missions in local communities.
In Malaysia, to reduce carbon footprint, staff members of the Penang Dingsi Books and Cafe decided to move its inventory to a new warehouse in Butterworth as the new place is closer to the container terminal. Thanks to the help of volunteers and staff members of the store, in just 2 hours, boxes of Dingsi products were moved to its new home. Moving boxes of Jingsu products off the truck with extra attentiveness. Today, volunteers and staff members of the Penang Jingsu Books and Cafe in Malaysia are moving their store's inventory to a new warehouse.
Today is my day off, so I decided to come and help. It is not tiring at all. It is great to have the chance to volunteer.
I don't feel tired at all. The more I do, the happier I am. I hardly sweat in the office, but here I sweat a lot and it feels good.
Originally, the Jingsu products of the Penang Jingsu Books and Cafe were stored at a warehouse in Penang Island. However, as the container terminal is closer to Butterworth, volunteers decided to move all the products to a warehouse there.
We decided to move our products here because the container terminal is closer to Butterworth. It is easier for us to move items in or out of the container. We can also reduce our carbon footprints.
Thanks to the help of staff members and volunteers, in just 2 hours, the Jingsu products in a 40-foot container were unloaded to its new warehouse in Butterworth. We go back to Canada at the end of the show. Despite the recent snowstorm, Vancouver Tzu Chi volunteers gathered together to pack relief items that will benefit the needy in future distributions. We will leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.